What a magnificent place this once was. The very epicenter of learning here in Appalachia. Truly, nothing is as valuable as a good education. It certainly will. And not just for the rebuilding of structures, machines, and other scientific and technological pursuits. We must also repair the fabric of our society and our culture. We must embrace the history, art, music, literature, and philosophy. Why, our mission must be nothing short of reclaiming that which makes us civilized. So, what brings you here to the hallowed halls of Vault Tec University? Searching for knowledge? Foraging for supplies? Or perhaps some secret mission you can't talk about? Well, I'm afraid there's not much left to find. Time has not been kind to this proud institution. I myself scoured every classroom and laboratory that I could find, but to little avail. Of course, it didn't help that I was constantly forced to hide from those slavering, deformed horrors roaming the halls. Ask away. Up north, Connecticut, a small town called Monroe, named for the 5th President of the United States. It was quite lovely, especially in the autumn. My wife and I used to ride the bicycle trails on Sundays, and then visit the local brewery for a pint. I do miss those days, and I miss my Millie. May she rest in everlasting peace. That's a bit of a story. Not long after the war, I lost my wife Millicent to cancer, likely brought on by the radiation. Every day I questioned whether to go on living at all. Without her, the days were empty, devoid of any purpose beyond the simple need to survive. But in time, once I'd learned to adapt to living in the world after the bombs, I decided to set a new goal for myself. I set out to visit those great American centers of learning that still remained intact. I've always felt at home in such places, and so here I am, at least for a while. I was a teacher. History and literature were my subjects. It always brought me great joy to illuminate the eager minds of children. Well, for the few who are interested, at any rate, high school students are easily distracted, I'm afraid. Well, I'd start by saying that without Vault Tec, humanity would be lost. The Vault saved precious lives and gave us a chance to rebuild. Now, we all heard about the rumors and controversies. But what large corporation doesn't have to cope with such things from time to time? As far as I'm concerned, the only real blemish on Vault Tec's record is the rather shameless corporate branding on display here at VTU. Very well. Was there anything else? Certainly. It was a genuine pleasure.
Identify yourself. Law-abiding citizens will not be harmed. All clear.
This is even better than I expected. Growing up in Welch, I never would have expected to get this opportunity. My dad said not to let the big city get to my head, but I can barely stand it. I'm so excited. This list of courses is thrilling, and I'll be learning from some of the best. Dean Elliott is a legend, and Professor Blake literally wrote the book on psychology in confined situations. I know it's early, but I've been working on my senior thesis since I was in grade school, and I've got an appointment with Dean Elliott to go over it with him. I know it's a silly little idea, but I think it can be something real special with his help. Selective breeding is the toughest to crack, but I think that the confines of a vault are a fantastic place to put these ideas to the test in a controlled environment. I've studied the history, and I have an angle that no one has thought of.
Overseer's personal journal. 4 years of living, learning, and breathing Vault Tec. Graduating with honors in the Overseer track. Dad was so proud. Came out even though he was already so sick. I must have impressed the right people because I was offered the next available Overseer slot. I had just graduated. It was supposed to take years. Maybe they knew the war was inevitable. When I learned that 76 was going to be built, I was so excited I jumped right out of my chair and did a little dance around the living room. Appalachia would be safe, no matter what happened. Evan chose that moment to propose, a luckhead. He knew I wouldn't say no after hearing the news. He knew me better than anyone. Dad died a few months after Evan and I moved in together. He really wanted to walk me down the aisle. Well, I didn't really get to walk down there either, so... I think it's time I went home. I owe Evan that much.
Identify yourself. False alarm. Standing down. Standing down. Violence will not be tolerated. Do not attempt to flee. You will be identified and sanctioned. Warning, dangerous fugitive is on the loose. Do not attempt to apprehend. Hostile has escaped. Transmitting description to designated law enforcement authorities. On hostile target.
turned down by a potential boss once again. If you told me when I first got here that I would be anything other than the overseer of a control vault, I wouldn't have believed you. Now that I'm here, I'm a little more realistic about things. The overseer at Vault 96, one of the hottest postings outside of 76, wouldn't even give me the time of day. The man sent me a form letter as a rejection, for God's sakes. At this rate, I'm gonna end up shipped out to the West Coast to work as a janitor in 29 with a bunch of... I'm gonna take part in, hopefully, my experiment is about food, so I get to eat well, at least.
Unidentified intruder detected. Beginning search.